New faces are new places and a whole new season is upon us. Here's how the CFL looks in 2009 from here. We start off in the East, and in Hamilton, the Ticats delayed the storming of the front office Bastille by compensating renewing season ticket holders with a 25% discount after missing the playoffs yet again. But there were some young studs emerging from Tiger Town in 2008, with the Eastern Rookie of the Year wideout Preachy Rodriguez leading the way. Quarterback Quentin Porter showed some promise as well, leading the Tabbies to an October win at home over Montreal. But with the challenge this year from the starters role with new acquisition Kevin Glenn from Winnipeg, during the offseason, the Ticats named Kahari Jones as their new quarterback coach. While Jones coaching Glenn Porter is a good premise, it's a little skeptical over the naming of him in a post after a few seasons ago when playing for Edmonton. In the preseason, he was quoted saying, "I had plenty of good reads, but the ball didn't go where I wanted it to. Personally, I think they should have kept Danny Mac." Up to QEW in Toronto, the Argos had a bigger collapse than the stock exchange last autumn, or at least attempted to make another playoff run. Double Blues showed signs of too many cooks spoiling the broth when former head coach Rick Stubler was let go at midseason after earning 4 wins at the helm. The only problem was his successor Don Matthews showed an undone-like performance by playing over during the rest of the season. Defense has always been the bread and butter for the Boatmen, but in 2008, after releasing Orlando Steinhauer and trading away Jordan Younger to Edmonton, the former league-leading unit displayed plenty of holes in the good ship Argo. This offseason, defensive back Chuck Weirs announced his retirement, but Younger returned to the fold. Additional pickups with Zeke Moreno and Rob Murphy will help straighten the Argos' weaknesses in the D and O lines respectively. However, the recent departure of kicker Mike Vanderjagt will prove to be another challenge for Bart Andrus' his first season as head coach. Unless last year's acquisition, Kerry Joseph, could turn a dismal offense around, look for the Boatmen to take on more water in 2009. This offseason proved to be a sad one for fans in Winnipeg as Milt Stegall announced he'd rather catch some Z's in his lazy boy than passes in the out pattern. However, the Bombers maintain a good nucleus in their receiving corps in the likes of Terrence Edwards, Derek Armstrong, and recent hiree Rock Ralph. Amongst boosting the Balloon Girls offense in this upcoming season was the re-signing of Joe Smith and to partner up with mainstay running back Fred Reed. The real question will be who will be the opening day start at quarterback after the Bombers release Ryan Dinwiddie before training camp. Will it be Stefan LaForce, who they picked up from the Eskimos? An already strong defense anchored by Doug Brown was made even more fierce with the acquisition of Fred Perry from Edmonton, Riel Johnson from Toronto, and Glenn January from Saskatchewan. However, the real flame fanner this offseason came from new head coach Mike Kelly's mouth when he referred to the residents of Saskatchewan as hailing from the crotch of Canada. This continues the traditional stereotype created by Troy Westwood, where when playing for the Bombers, those with stellar social skills need not apply. Last season, Montreal's new head coach, Mark Trestman, showed that you didn't need any previous CFL experience as he led the Alouettes to a berth in the Grey Cup on home turf. In his sophomore season, he stands a good chance to make another trip to the big game, as the Owls have maintained their core roster that makes them the most dominant team in the East. Anthony Calvillo rebounded last year after a tragic 2007 season where his wife was diagnosed with B-cell lymphoma, taking a leave of absence from the team to be by her side. Calvillo will have the majority of his offensive weapons to look to in Ben Cahoon, Jamal Richardson, and Kerry Watkins when he handles the ball. Also returning are defensive stand-ups Chip Kotz, Rezzy Hunt, Anwar Stewart, and Davis Dury Sanchez. Also solid kicker David Duvall, and it looks like there will be plenty of announcements of Premier USA First Down Montreal. Continuing on with this preview for the upcoming 2009 season, after losing to the eventual Grey Cup champions in the Western Final, the BC Lions went into panic mode and unloaded a ton of big-name players, shipping linebacker Otis Floyd to Hamilton, losing slapback Jason Claremont to Saskatchewan, and releasing running back Charles Roberts. The Eels still have two solid quarterbacks in Buck Pierce and Jarius Jackson, who will also be looking for stellar targets in the always exciting G. Roy Simon, as well as handling the ball to Ian Smart, who is always dangerous on kick returns. Defense will be stronger with Corey Banks, Brent Johnson, and Rigman acquisition in the Floyd trade, Natun McKay Loescher. However, the Lions have always been known for their offensive prowess, and aside from Smyman and Smart, they're very light on renowned weapons. Look for these Canes to be vying for hopeful crossover spot, causing some possible health problems for Coach Wally Buono. Speaking of crossovers, the Edmonton Eskimos earned that last season and made it all the way to the Eastern Final before losing to the Owls at the Big O. Yeah, Eski's offense was bolstered by off-season pickups of Jesse Lumsden from Hamilton. Should he remain healthy, look for quarterbacks Ricky Ray and returning Jason Moss to utilize him to the fullest extent on the natural grass at Commonwealth Stadium, along with wide receiver Kenwood Peterson. The Green Goals' main bread and butter is their defense, with returnees Jason Goss, Tristan Jackson, and acquisition Kelly Malvo from Winnipeg in the Fred Berry deal will make it difficult for opposing offensive schemes. Former Toronto favorite kicker Noel Prefontaine also returns to the Eskimos. While his team may appear solid, I highly doubt we will see Dave Machocha recreate his 2005 Tinkerbell performance in this upcoming November in Calgary. Last season was a disappointing one in Riverville, as Saskatchewan was decimated with a plethora of injuries to his receiving corps. With the Nets in the Western semifinal and a long offseason, the Green and White had plenty of time to heal. Returning to the fold are offensive threats Weston Dressler, Eddie Fantuz, and Wes Cates. While the Riders may have lost Matt Dominguez and recent rival Claremont from BC will help fill the void and create a deadly combination in the slot back position. Eddie Davis will anchor a normally strong defense, and one of the money kickers in Luka Kanji will put the points on the board at the former Taylor Field for special teams. Ken Miller will attempt to get the Riders back to the big game after being the offensive coordinator on the 2007 championship team. Otherwise, mascot Gainer the Gopher will be suiting up in the backfield. The defending Grey Cup champion Calgary Stampeders hope to have the dubious distinction of defending the title on the home turf as McMahon Stadium hosts the big game this year. The Stamps clean house in the off-season, but mostly on non-impact players, and recently cut loose Joe Juan Armour after an altercation at training camp. The Horsemen have a solid offense core returning this season with Grey Cup MVP Henry Burris in the pivot position, as well as key weapons Joffrey Reynolds, Nick Lewis, and Keyon Rambo. On the defensive side of the ball, the retention of Mike Labinjo and Brandon Browner have opposing teams guessing their play formations. Also returning is another one of the clutch kickers in the league, Sandro DeAngelis. With the stability in Cowtown, don't be surprised if John Huffenagel has the red and white ride forever deep into the postseason again this year. With so many changes, it's hard to predict who will be playing for Old Greg Smug this November. But until the big game in Calgary, it's time to sit back, turn on TSN, and enjoy Canada's second greatest pro sport. I'm Dief, man, and that's my view from the outside.